Who was my favorite villain to write in The Wheel of Time? It would probably be Demandred. I had a lot of fun with Demandred. Who was the most challenging to write? I would say Matt is the most challenging to write, though I do have a fun story with the second most challenging character to write, who is Aviendha. As a writer, one of the hardest things to do, but the most satisfying things to do, is to try and write someone very different from yourself. And the Aiel have the most interesting and different viewpoint of any of the cultures, I feel, in The Wheel of Time. And so I really wanted to get Avi right. She's also my favorite of the three girls. Three women, I shall say. And so I really wanted to get Avi right. I wanted to make sure that Avi was well represented. And so one of the very first scenes that I wrote on this was Aviendha. And I sent it to Harriet, just excited. I'm like, all right, here's my Aviendha. She wrote back, or she actually spoke to me. She said, Brandon, what you have written is an almost picture-perfect Elaine. Go ahead and try again, dear. And I did, and that one wasn't right either. It wasn't till the third time, and I actually, completely different scenes, start to finish, the third time. And this is not unusual for me writing a book. There are 3 different Vins before I settled on the right Vin for writing the first Mistborn novel. Vin started as a boy in the first draft, like just the first draft of the first chapter, and no, that didn't work. I tossed that out. And I write my way into characters. In fact, a lot of the editing for Gathering Storm was Harriet cutting out big swaths and saying, you're writing your way into the character, I'm glad you did this, they don't need to read it. I feel like that helped me. It was really important to have Harriet and also unsung heroes, Alan and Maria, who were assistants. Maria was Robert Jordan's assistant for some, dozen years.
18
years. And Alan for a shorter period of time, but still invaluable.
10,
yeah.
I think.
And
they're still there.
Yeah.
They're wonderful.
And those two were essential to getting these books right. I recently posted on my Twitter. I don't know how many of you saw it, but people ask a lot about the notes that Robert Jordan left behind. When we talk about the notes, there are 2 groups. One is the 200 pages that I was given, which are specifically for A Memory of Light. These were scenes that he'd worked on, or Q&As he'd done with his assistants, or pieces they pulled out of the notes that were specifically how to write this last book. And then they handed me a CD and said, here's the rest of them, good luck. Harriet has said many times, they're longer than the series as a total. There are more pages of material in the notes than were printed pages in the series. And I just always took her word for it, but just last week I was thinking, I wonder how much there really is in there. And so I went in and I actually had a thing where I spliced them all together into one Microsoft Word document. And it started counting up, and at 32,000 pages, Microsoft Word said, I can't count anymore, and then my computer crashed. The ticker was about 4.5 million words, and going up, there were a lot more to reach when it did that, and said, I can't count any further. The series is 10,000 pages long, just under, and somewhere around 4 million words. And this is topping 32,000 pages. So, yes, there are a lot of notes in there, and Alan and Maria's job was basically to go to those notes and research and compile lists of information for me and working on the last book.